Okay, good evening. Welcome to this meeting of the Planning Committee this evening, Tuesday night of December. My name's Caleb Tomlinson. I'm the Councillor for Banbury Bridge West and I am the Chair of this Planning Committee. Committee members and members of the public, you are reminded that this is being streamed live to YouTube. And if you're attending the meeting because you want to speak on an application, you have 4 minutes. You will be timed and I will confirm when 4 minutes is up. You should then finish, or if in the middle of the point, complete the point and turn your mic off, please. Voting will be undertaken by the electronic voting system and the outcome of the vote will also be shown on the screens around the room and confirmed by our legal officer, Alex, once completed. If you have mobile phones with you tonight, I'm sure you all have, please either A, turn them off, or B, put them on silent. We're not anticipating a fire drill, so if the fire alarm does go off, we'll leave by the exit just behind Councillor Pritchard there. And we meet on the car park. Okay, so if I can now ask everyone to introduce themselves, starting to my left and go around the room. Thanks.
Good evening, Elizabeth Thornber, Head of Planning and Enforcement.
Good evening, Catherine Thomas, Planning Manager.
Good evening, Debbie Roberts, Development Management Team Leader.
Rachel Clitheroe, Planning Officer.
James Gleeson, Councillor Cat Green, Gregson Lane.
David Howarth, Councillor for Howick and Priory in Penwitham.
Councillor Peter Molyneux, Salisbury and Walton Ward.
Leslie Pritchard, Councillor for Lostock Hall Ward.
Chris Lomax, Waltley Dale East.
John Rainsbury, Councillor for Hoole.
Hayden Williams, Councillor for Leyland Central.
Damien Bretherton, Councillor, Walton Dale West.
Good evening, my name's Councillor Martin and I represent Middlefirth.
Ben Story, Democratic Member Service Officer.
Alex Jackson, Solicitor.
Okay, thanks for that, folks. Right, we have several apologies. Councillor Elaine Stringfellow is being substituted by Councillor Leslie Pritchard. Councillor Phil Smith is being substituted by Councillor John Rainsbury. Councillor Ange Turner is being substituted by Councillor David Howarth. Councillor Mary Green is being subbed by Councillor Damien Bretherton. And Councillor Pete Pillinger is being substituted by Councillor Keith Martin. So thanks, all you subs. And I'd just like to formally welcome Councillor Pritchard and Councillor Howarth to the Planning Committee. You'll only be used when you're needed. Okay. All right. Moving straight on to declarations of interest in this evening's. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Chair. It's not more of a declaration, but I'm on standby tonight, so if my phone rings, I have to dive off. I'm one of these mad people who go out in bad weather and rescue people. Thank you.
For clarity, Councillor Martin works for the County Council as a gritter. Is that correct? It is, isn't it? Right. Okay, anybody else? No? Okay, well, I've read the minutes of the meeting held on the 6th of November and I agree with them and I am willing to sign them. Can I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Thank you, Councillor Lomax. Even if you weren't on that meeting, you can actually vote if you wish to, and if you don't wish to vote on it, you can abstain. Okay, so we'll go to the electronic vote.
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted to approve the minutes of the last meeting as a correct record.
Okay, thanks, Alex. We'll move on to item number 5, and this is appeal decisions. Catherine, do we have any appeal decisions this evening?
No, Chair, we haven't received any appeal decisions since last meeting.
That's good news, great. Okay, item number 6 on the agenda this evening, Smokies at Dunkirk Hall, Dunkirk Lane, Leyland. And Debbie, if you'd like to present this item, thanks.
Thank you, Chair. The application refers to the car park of the Dunkirk Hall pub, which is grade 2 listed, at the junction of Dunkirk Lane and Schleswig Way. There are dwellings to the north beyond the pub, on the western side and on the southern side, and Schleswig Way, the bypass, is on the eastern side. The site is in the existing built-up area, which has a presumption towards development. The application is a retrospective permission, seeks retrospective permission for change of use of part of the car park and retention of a hot food trailer and ancillary structures. Excuse me. This one was refused in April 2025. The applicant proposes relocation to address and overcome the reasons for refusal, which I'll go through in a second. The one that was refused is on the left-hand side, so the units are adjacent to Schleswig Way and very close to the pub. The one that is proposed is to relocate them to the bottom end of the car park. Beyond this fence wall here is sort of a communal car park associated with Rindle Close on the left-hand side. The scheme is a food truck, 2 chilled storage cabinets and a commercial wheeled bin. And having considered members' comments from last time, excuse me, the applicant's proposing reduced hours. We refused it, members refused it last time for 2 reasons. One, on its proximity to a listed building and the damage that it would do on its setting. That reason has been overcome because the units have been, would be moved to the opposite end of the car park, away from the listed building. The second one was proximity to schools and obesity rates in the area. Now, the applicant has proposed to reduce the hours of opening from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Monday to Friday. It was previously 2 o'clock in the afternoon. From 2 till 9 on a Saturday and 2 till 8 on Sunday and bank holidays. We can secure that by condition, and I have visited the site, and whilst they're still on site, they weren't working at 4:30 in the afternoon. So no, they are trying to work to those standards. We've had noise impact and odour assessments. They've been provided and the environmental health team are happy with them. Let me go to the next one. Okay, just a couple of slides. This is the proposal site. So we've got the bypass on the left-hand side, Rindle Close on the right, and the pub behind. And this is the same site, but you can see that it's screened from the highway, from the bypass by trees. Same location, but it shows Rindle Close on the side. Now they have got 2.5 metre fences. It rises slightly towards the pub, but they're also on top of a brick wall, so they're well screened, and the proposal will be in the far corner. Special separation in terms of Rindle Close is acceptable, and a view from the pub, so it's a decent distance away, and we're quite comfortable that it's overcome that impact to the setting on the listed building. Because we've overcome that issue, the applicant would reduce hours to avoid school opening times. It's now deemed to be policy compliant, and we would go for approval of planning permission and grant a listed building consent with conditions as per your report. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that presentation, Debbie. Right, we don't have any members of the public wishing to speak in objection to this application. We do have the applicant's agent, Graham Thorpe. Graham Thorpe, if you're here with us this evening. Evening, Graham. Okay, you have 4 minutes to make your representation. Okay, thank you.
Do I need to press the button? Yep. Excellent. Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the committee. My name's Graham Thorpe from PWA Planning, and I'm speaking on behalf of the applicant. Before I address the planning merits, I want to briefly highlight the local contribution of Smokies, a popular local gourmet food business selling hot food to patrons of the adjacent Dunkirk Hall public house, as well as to take home. Whilst operating as a standalone business, this provides a key facility to the pub as their food offering. Smokies prioritises local sourcing of their food, with their burger meat coming directly from Woods Farm Shop in Much Hall. The business caters to diverse dietary needs, offering all of its burgers as gluten-free options alongside vegetarian and vegan options. It employs 10 local people, providing income within the local economy, and actively supports local charitable efforts throughout the year. We must, of course, however, weigh its benefits against the statutory planning considerations. As you're aware, a previous iteration of the proposal was refused in April. I'm pleased to confirm we have worked closely with the case officer during this resubmission, responding proactively to concerns raised, and the revised scheme has successfully overcome both of these objections. Regarding the impact on the Grade 2 listed Dunkirk Hall, the primary concern was the intrusive placement of the trailer and associated storage units on the setting of the heritage asset. The applicant will resite the structures within the car park approximately 45 metres further south, if approved. This new location sits discreetly against the boundary fence in an area that your heritage consultant, Growth Lancashire, agrees makes only a neutral or minor negative contribution to the hall's setting. Crucially, the relocation ensures the structures do not disrupt any key or sensitive views of Dunkirk Hall. The revised placement is supported by Growth Lancashire and the case officer, and as a result, the development now meets the statutory duty to preserve the setting of the listed building. Secondly, the previous refusal cited a conflict with public health policy regarding the proximity to residential areas and schools. The applicant recognises that the guidance in this framework is concerned not only with restricting the direct supply of fast food to children, but also with addressing the influence of its omnipresence through advertising, visibility and everyday exposure. Through proactive discussions with the case officer, we have introduced powerful mitigating factors that directly address the letter and spirit of MPPF paragraph 97. These are set out in full within the committee report, paragraphs 11.6, 11.7. Essentially, the structures will no longer be visible from public view due to the proposed location. Restricted hours will be enforced, pushing weekday opening hours to significantly back compared to previously, starting at 5 p.m. running till 9, which is well outside all school drop-off, lunchtime and collection periods, eliminating direct opportunity for school children to visit and reducing the visibility of the operation. We will also remove the access for minors by enforcing the existing policy at Dunkirk Hall, which strictly prohibits anyone from under 18 from being on licensed premises, which includes the car park area where the food truck is located, unless they are accompanied by an adult. Clearly not a place where children and young people would typically congregate, thereby ensuring no conflict with paragraph 97 of the MPPF. Finally, food is priced to reflect its level of quality, and as such is more expensive than alternative food offerings within the locality. The draw for school children is therefore limited. These matters create clear, enforceable barriers addressing the core policy objective of restricting access to children and young people. We believe these commitments meet the proposal, no longer constitutes a direct conflict with the MPPF and successfully overcomes the previous planning policy objections. Regarding the wider residential amenity concerns, namely noise and odour, we acknowledge the continued objections raised by neighbours. However, we submitted a noise and odour assessment which has been robustly reviewed by the Council's Environmental Health team, and their professional conclusion is that subject to rigorous control measures and planning conditions, the impact of the development will be no greater than the existing Dunkirk Hall kitchen. In conclusion, the applicant has proactively addressed all previous reasons for refusal through the strategic resiting of the unit, the restriction of opening hours and formal clarification of access. We acknowledge the concern raised initially in respect to this proposal. However, as explained in detail within our submission, Smokies are mindful of the potential impact and influence of fast food on younger people. This is restaurant quality food provision, far removed from a typical town centre takeaway, and it will be provided from a discrete car park location. This is a valued local enterprise who remain committed to supporting the local community. In conclusion, the proposal can now be considered compliant with current planning policy, protecting both the heritage asset and community health, and we ask that you confirm acceptance to the officer recommendation for approval with conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Graham. Thanks for your presentation. I will now open this application up to committee. Councillor Lomax.
I thank Smokies and the officers for the work undertaken. with it. I think you've done a smashing job from what it was last time, and I would move to pass.
We are dealing with two separate applications here, Debbie, aren't we?
Yes, two separate decisions.
And we have to take a vote on them separately, yes?
Yeah.
So the first one, approval.
First one, approval from
Councillor
me.
Williams.
Seconded. Seconded.
Yeah, I was only going to say I wasn't on the previous one. This is quite clearly an application for like a gourmet food bar. The only way you can get to it is on a pub car park. It's not attractive to children whatsoever. That policy I can't see applies at all. It's really important that we support local business in this council and in this area, and especially the licensed trade. I know how difficult it is at the moment. So I'm quite happy to propose either second approval, along with everybody, along with all those that wish to join me.
Thanks, Councillor Williams. Councillor Rainsbury.
Yes, I was seconding Councillor Lomax's proposal. Excuse my voice.
Well, this is on the first application. Have we got any other proposals? Does anybody want to propose refusal? Deferral? Okay, so can we go to the electronic vote on the first application? This is for approval.
Thank you, Chair. Members have unanimously voted to approve the application for planning permission for the hot food takeaway.
So can we go straight to the second application? Can I have the same Councillor Lomax for approval?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put it through.
Councillor Williams?
Absolutely seconded.
Okay, so we'll move on then and go straight to the electronic vote on the second one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Members have unanimously voted to approve the application for listed building consent.
Okay, so that ends that item on tonight's agenda. Thanks very much. We will now move on to item number 7, which is land south of Myerscough Smithy Lane, Balderston, west of Branch Road, Mellor Brook. And Debbie, if you would like to present this item, thanks.
Thank you, Chair. The site in question is 5.6 hectares of vacant grassland to the south of Myerscough Smithy Road and to the west of Branch Road, Mellor Immediately west is a large commercial building on Lancashire Enterprise Zone that separates British Aerospace, BAE, from the secure boundary. Site's western common boundary with the Enterprise Zone is partly tree screened, but the site slopes slightly towards the Enterprise Zone area. To the north are a pair of dwellings, Hawthorne cottages, and the site would wrap round those on 3 sides. The west of the cottages is a field access abutting the Enterprise Zone boundary, that's around here, and across Myerscough Smithy Road is the Fielden Arms and Fielden's Farm Lane residential. Abutting the north east corner are the rear gardens of dwellings along Branch Road, whilst the south east boundary directly faces Branch Road. Branch Road itself benefits from traffic calming measures and traffic activated speed signage. The southern boundary runs along the northern side of 67 Branch Road, which is a dwelling and a deep tract of open land. And access at the moment is from this point via a field gate off Branch Road. Within the site are several lengths of former field boundary hedge, protected trees in the site centre and 3 ponds. There's a watercourse that runs around the southwest boundary. Get me west and east right. And the whole site's in flood zone 1, so least likely to flood. Planning practice guidance says that flood zone 1 is suitable for housing development. Mellor locale is densely built but semi-rural in nature, and the village is 0.9 miles away. Right, before I carry on, for clarity and context, I just want to explain the setting of the site itself. We've had some representation with concerns about the site's proximity to a coma site, that's control of major accident hazards. BAE, which is shown on the left in white, it's not very visible in white, but is 700 metres from the site, which is in red, edged in red. It's separated by Lancashire Enterprise Zone, which is not a coma site, that's shown in brown, by open space and by the Enterprise Zone Ecology Mitigation Area, which is this bit in green. Coma sites are the responsibility of the Health and Safety Executive, and they've confirmed that the BAE at Sampa is the only coma site in the area. They've also confirmed that the development site isn't within a consultation distance of a major hazard site or a major accident hazard pipeline. They've no objection on health and safety grounds to the development. The Council's Senior Risk and Insurance Officer separately has no objection. They confirm that the Council's worked on the BAE coma site for well over 10 years and review it every 3 years. There are 2 coma risks within BAE's boundary, one in South Ribble, one in Ribble Valley. And both are deemed to have no societal risks. If coma substances leave the site, there is no public health or hazard risk. Okay, so just to be clear, there is no risk or reason for refusal of this development on coma proximity grounds. Okay. Okie dokie, so the proposal is for full permission for phased residential development of 121 dwellings with associated works. 43 of the dwellings will be 10-year blind affordable, so that's 35.5%. There will be 14 different house types, 1 to 4 bedders, single, 2 and 2.5 storey, detached, semi-detached and apartments. Apartments resemble 2-storey semi-detached with an apartment at ground floor and first floor. So a good mix. Roof heights between 5.3 and 10.4, but the majority are around the 8 metre high. There are 2 house types that are slightly higher. They face towards the enterprise zone and they're in the site centre, and they back onto open space towards Branch Road. Proposed density of 21.72 dwellings per hectare, which is policy compliant with current and emerging policy. We've got relevant boundary treatments and off-road parking. Vehicular access is proposed from Branch Road on the east, roughly where the field gate is at the moment, running through the site through to Mysco Smithy Road in the north. Houses come off the central road in a cul-de-sac arrangement. There are also 2 private driveways off Branch Road which give access to 5 dwellings each. Pedestrian access throughout, and a bus stop, you can't quite see it, it's just at the top. Bus stop and double yellow lines also proposed on Mysco Smithy Road at the request of Lancashire County Council. In terms of landscaping, the west-hand side of the site naturally falls towards the enterprise zone, so this is where the attenuation ponds would be for drainage. There will be a separate attenuation pond in the site centre. Trees on the western boundary and the belt of trees in the centre would be retained, as would hedgerow and trees along the southern side. 2 trees and sections of hedges to be removed, but we've got a mitigatory planting scheme and it's acceptable. There will be a small substation on Mysco Smithy Road between Hawthorne Cottages and an existing gas governor, and a small leap, a locally equipped area for play in the site's midsection. That will be surrounded by new properties, not the existing. Okay. The site will be come forward in 4 phases if it's approved. So it will run from Mysco Smithy Road to Branch Road. There are 2 policies that are really relevant to this, 2 site allocation policies. Currently the site is designated by B2 Village Development in the local plan. It's also identified for allocation for housing development by the emerging Central Lancashire local plan. The existing policy safeguards land on the periphery of Mellowbrook to meet local needs, including affordable and market housing, where it is justified that development can't be accommodated in the existing built-up area, or the site is preferable for the use, and there is need for the proposed use. It's really clear that Mellowbrook is tightly constrained and there is no existing built-up area to accommodate the development, which is needed, and there's a full needs assessment in your report. It's quite lengthy. But to maintain the village vitality and provide growth opportunities, it's acknowledged that some development is needed on that periphery. As I say, we've put a local need and justification statement into the report, and on the basis we feel that this is compliant with existing policy B2. Excuse me, just have a drink. Then we turn to emerging policy HS6, which is in the emerging local plan. That proposes the site for allocation for housing development. It's got limited weight at the moment, but the scheme provides a housing mix in line with the emerging policy, and properties are suitable in size, type and tenure. We feel that the proposal is also therefore compliant with the emerging plan. So for clarity, it's compliant with both the existing and the forthcoming local plans. Okay, Millbrook is characterised by a diverse street scene, lots of properties in a range of style and size. This proposal reflects that mix. Just example street scenes. A would face Myerscough Smithy Road. I'll go into this in a bit more detail. B would sit alongside the boundary with the enterprise zone on the western side, and C would face Branch Road. So we've got a photograph of Myerscough Smithy Road in the north. The secondary access would be at this point. Where I've put the marker, that's where street scene A would be. And this is a similar view from across Myerscough Smithy Road. B is in the distance, and that would abut the enterprise zone boundary. I'm really sorry, it's not very clear, but some of these photographs I had to use Google photographs. Mine were just not clear enough. And this one just shows you the type of properties on Myerscough Smithy Road. So there are 1930s semis, there are cottages, there are terraces. It's a very diverse street scene, and when you look at the property types, they do reflect that diverse street scene. Moving to Branch Road, which is the eastern boundary, we've got number 67 Branch Road, which abuts the site. The existing access is here. That's roughly where the proposed access would be. Number 67 is already very well screened. And just a street scene of Branch Road, typical 1930s semis. And the site viewed from Branch Road, it's quite difficult. It's a fairly wide site. It's difficult to photograph. So the start is the same group of trees. The top one is the left-hand side. You've got 67 Branch Road next to it. And the bottom one is the right-hand side. Branch Road's on the right of the bottom photograph, if you can see it. Okay, and this is viewed from Branch Road. So street scene C will be visible from Branch Road. We've got 67 Branch Road on the left and 101 Branch Road on the right. Again, this house is well screened already. We've had representation both objecting and in support of the scheme. That's detailed in your report, but we've had no statutory objections subject to conditions. The scheme complies with the existing and the emergency policy plans. It's spatially compliant in terms of houses inside and outside the site, and it's been designed to a standard reflective of the wider Mellowbrook area. It's acceptable in policy terms, in officer's opinion, and we would move approval with conditions with a decision delegated to the Chair and Vice Chair on completion of a Section 106 legal agreement for public open space, affordable housing, biodiversity net gain and travel plan monitoring. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Debbie, thanks for your presentation. Right, we have two members of the public wishing to speak in objection to this application. Do we have an Aaron Naisbitt, please? Hopefully I pronounced that correctly.
Please forgive the exceedingly deep voice. I'm just getting over a bad throat.
Don't worry.
What do I press?
So there should be a button with an icon that looks like a side of a face, a profile of a face with some volume streams coming out of it. Okay? If you let me know when you're ready, we'll...
Yep, I'm ready.
Great. Okay, so you have 4 minutes, Aaron, from
Oh,
now.
have you pushed
Thank
that button for me already? Right, okay, great.
Okay.
Yep, so thank you. My name's Aaron Naseby. I live on Branch Road in one of the properties that's located in the north-east area of the proposed build. Top right, next to it, there's like an S-shaped building. That is my house. I just want to highlight a significant concern shared by many residents that this process has been very, very difficult for the community to follow. As an example, the planning portal that most people use for access to information still shows the next update is the 31st of December, yet we're here on the 9th. That's probably why there aren't many people in attendance and there's only 2 people registered to talk. They didn't know this decision was taking place today. There were 71 letters issued to the residents, yet 300 objections were submitted and only 2 in support. For context, 2 in support and 300 detailed objections shared by the public, and I don't feel that the report fairly reflects the strength of that feeling locally. Local parish councils also raised major concerns about the planning for highways, drainage, infrastructure, environmental impact, loss of character, but the report just lists these as objections, and I don't believe they have been transparently addressed. So my request is simply that the committee recognises these communication issues and the gaps in the report and ensures that they are properly considered before a decision is made. My next point relates to the description of the land immediately west of the site, and Mr Roberts obviously just went through the concerns of the neighbours about the Coma facility. The report states that the neighbouring building is a commercial building within the enterprise zone. I had a confirmation from British Aerospace themselves last week that that's factually incorrect. The building that you saw on the previous images is actually a British Aerospace machining facility. The building right next to it is British Aerospace's chemical treatment plant, and there's a triangle of trees you'll see at the top of that, which is the historic landfill site that operated from just before World War II to, I believe, about the 1990s. It was a British Aerospace landfill site, so God knows what's in that. The enterprise zone boundary might apply administratively, but it doesn't alter the fact that these are active British Aerospace buildings, not general commercial units. The committee has been asked to make a decision based on incomplete understanding of the industrial context and the historical land use. We're not asking the committee to conclude that this site is unsafe. We're simply asking for clarity and accuracy so that residents and the council have confidence that the assessment has been based on the correct facts. And my third point is, I just want to speak about the 8 existing bungalows that didn't show in any of the photographs. So those buildings that back onto the site where my S-shaped house is are all bungalows with very small back gardens. They're the ones that are going to suffer the most from this development. The report itself actually acknowledges this at paragraph 10.3, noting that separation drops to the minimum 21 metres. It also confirms that 2 bungalows and some fencing have now been introduced. We genuinely welcome that. It shows that that concern has been partially recognised. But placing large 3 and 4 bedroom houses next to those 2 bungalows will still significantly affect daylight, privacy and general amenity. These residents will feel overshadowed regardless of the partial mitigation. So my request, I believe, is quite simple, that if this does proceed, that plots 16 to 24 are revised to be bungalows. This protects existing residents, respects the established character of the Branch Road and provides much needed single-storey homes for older people that is absolutely lacking in the area. I think that's a practical, proportionate adjustment that supports both the development and the community. So I know I'm slightly over time, I apologise, just in closing. So first, I ask that you pause the determination today. Communication has been poor. The report does not reflect the strength of the community objection and the parish council concerns that have not been addressed. Second, that the inaccuracies in the report regarding the neighbouring BAE facilities are corrected so that the committee can make a decision based on a full and factual understanding of the site. And then third, if it does go ahead, that the row of new homes backing onto existing bungalows be reconsidered as single-storey units to protect elderly and retiring residents and provide much-needed accessible housing. I believe that these are all reasonable, proportionate adjustments, and that would rebuild trust. And that is it. Speed
Okay, thanks for your presentation, Aaron. Just before I ask John Smith to come and speak, Debbie, would you like to make any comments on the objections you've just heard?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Mr Naismith mentions that there are concerns from the parish council. All those issues, drainage, highways, ecology, that sort of thing, have been addressed by the statutory consultees, and their expert comments are in your report. I can only confirm that that building in the enterprise zone is a commercial building, regardless of who's in it. It's a commercial building. It is in the enterprise zone, and the Health and Safety Executive has said that the enterprise zone is not in the coma site, and there are no risks and no objections. And the senior risk officer from the council is of the same opinion. There is no reason to refuse this scheme on coma grounds. The request that the scheme is redesigned to include some more bungalows, we're not here for that tonight. We're here to look at the scheme that's put in front of us. I don't think there's anything else from me. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thanks for that, Debbie. Okay, Aaron, thank you. Okay, John Smith, please. Once again, Mr Smith, you have got 4 minutes to make your representations, and there's a face icon on the button in front of you with some volume levels coming out of it. If you just press that and make your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. As you've heard, my name's John Smith. I also live on Branch Road on the South Ribble side. And bluntly, the proposed development is too large for Mellowbrook, and the strategic plan, if we look at that, is going to lead us to that conclusion. The Central Lancashire Course Strategy, Policy 1, so starting at the beginning, tells us where we should be locating growth, and it says Preston, Chorley, Leyland and other built-up areas of South Ribble. It also says, and I hope I'm quoting accurately, it promotes vibrant local communities with appropriate scale growth in keeping with their local character. So I have to ask you, is 120 new houses dumped in Mellowbrook appropriate character to Mellowbrook? And no, it isn't. And well, we can explore that a bit further. In the local plan, it's B2, meaning the land is to be used for local needs. What are local needs? What is local and what are the needs? Local to Mellowbrook, if we count the houses, there are something like 100 on Branch Road and on the various side roads and along Preston New Road. You get to about 400 for the number of dwellings in Mellowbrook. Does 400 dwellings need another 120? And the answer has to be no. And if not 120, then how many? Well, the officer's report gives us a figure for the number of houses needed in South Ribble of 386 a year. And there are something like 50,000 houses, dwellings in South Ribble. So in very broad terms, you're looking at 1% a year growth. That for Mellowbrook, that's something like 4 houses a year. Well, clearly, we're not in the same ballpark. I mean, we're just miles away. At 1% a year, you could satisfy it on brownfield sites that are nearby, such as the windmill, and there's an industrial site just down. I mean, there's an old windmill pub up on Preston New Road, and there's an old industrial site down by the stream that comes through Mellowbrook. So we're miles away. But if we accept, I mean, where has this 120 come from? And it's come from the Iceni Housing Study, amongst others. And the Iceni Housing Study, as mentioned, is a heavy read, and it starts off in the wrong direction. It does a survey of Mellor, and it does a survey of Salmesbury and Boulderstone to try and work out what the needs are of those, and that isn't analysing Mellowbrook. And the Iceni study establishes a clear demand for houses, but it's establishing a market demand. It's not establishing a local demand. And I'm sure the 120 houses will sell, But the policy is for a local demand for whatever Mellowbrook needs for the benefit of the vibrant community of Mellowbrook. Is the site, am I still on? I've still got time, good? Yes. So even if we accept it, I mean, sort of the next measure is the site sustainable? And what does sustainability mean? And your officer's report again gives us some headings to look at there. And it says there are community facilities. Well, there's a sandwich shop, there's a pub, there's a village hall community centre which does WI and Pilates and such things, and the ukulele orchestra. But frankly, this isn't enough to support life. There's 2 petrol stations and associated convenience stores and a Land Rover dealer. But this isn't a coherent set of facilities that make for a sustainable place. If you want to get to more stuff, you have to go to Mellor, whereas Mellor is steeply up a hill. It's a couple of 280 feet uphill. If any of the committee have walked up to Mellor, you will know you get puffed by the time you get to the top. This is not promoting transport to facilities by foot. It's a jump in the car and go somewhere. I think I'm up to 4 minutes.
Yeah, well, you're up to 4 minutes 30, John, to be honest with you. But
thank you for your
all
patience.
right, you're more than welcome. You're more.
May I say one more thing about schools?
Sorry?
May I say one thing about schools?
One, I will allow it, but please make it brief.
Right. The officer's report mentions 4 primary schools locally, and I believe they all have admissions policies which would put this field outside the sort of primary admissions policy. So you'd be with all the others. The access and design statement on schools says there are lots of schools in the Samlesbury and Walton ward, which again I believe is true, but they're all miles away. They are not local schools. Thank you.
All right, John, thank you for your presentation. Before I bring the... oh, Lizzie. Oh, Catherine. Good evening, sorry. Yes, you'd like to come in on that, wouldn't you?
Thanks, Chair. Yes, I would just like to come in just to respond to a couple of points, one from our first speaker and secondly from our second speaker, Mr Smith. So just in relation to the comments from the first speaker about the interrelationship between proposed and existing dwellings, that has been fully assessed by the officers to make sure that separation distances do accord with the council standards. In relation to the comments made by our second speaker, and the view that the development is too large for Mellowbrook, and that the ICENI study has been the basis on which the council have assessed need. That isn't actually necessarily the full picture, because part of the evidence base for our new local plan included a local housing need assessment that the council itself commissioned with its partners by ARC4, and that identified need within the eastern parishes or eastern part of the borough for both market and affordable housing. And as members will be aware, we have had to identify potential sites for allocation to meet the housing targets that the government require us to meet. And this is one of the sites that we have put forward as a housing allocation. So we've assessed the size of Mellor, the capacity of the services in Mellor, and I'm still of the view that this site is suitable for the level of development proposed. The local plan, emerging local plan, indicates circa 120 dwellings, and this site the application is 121. So we have looked at, in association with our partners that include the County Council as Education and Highway Authority, we've looked at the sites that we're putting forward and the services that are available to support them. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. Okay, John, thank you. Thank you for your time. Do we have Graham Lamb with us this evening? He is the agent for this application. Good evening, Graham.
Good evening, Chair. I shall just stick my
timer on.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yeah.
Can everyone hear me okay? Good evening, members, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. The proposals before you, as you've heard, will provide 121 much-needed family homes, including 43 affordable homes, on an allocated site that has been subject to extensive negotiation and consultation. Your officers and consultees have confirmed that the principle of development is acceptable and that all detailed technical matters have been addressed to their satisfaction and could be secured through the proposed conditions in Section 106 obligations. As noted by officers, the site has been allocated in the adopted local plan since 2015 to meet local development needs and is retained as a residential allocation in the emerging Central Lancashire local plan, which is at the examination stage. Accordingly, the site has a long-standing policy basis for residential use in both the adopted and emerging plans, and the proposals are compliant with both plans by demonstrating a clear localised need for market and affordable homes proposed, in line with the adopted plan, with the more detailed elements on mix and tenure aligning with the up-to-date evidence of the emerging plan, which I think Debbie already alluded to. It's also pertinent that the Council is reliant on this site and the other proposed housing allocations to meet its housing requirements and to achieve a 5-year housing land supply. So if one or more of these sites were to not come forward, it would leave the Council more vulnerable to more speculative development and appeals on unallocated greenfield sites. I now focus on the key features and benefits of the scheme. In terms of the housing mix, the proposals include a range of 1 to 4 bedroom homes across 14 different house types. 43 of those are affordable, which is 35.5% as noted, and they're split between rented and shared ownership in tenures in line with the Council's latest required mix. And this is fully supported by the Council's housing officer after quite a lot of discussion and negotiation, because policy requirements have evolved over the period we've had the application in. In respect of residential amenity, we're obviously aware of significant objections raised from existing properties, as alluded to by the earlier speaker, and we have worked quite hard both at the pre-application stage and through the application to address those where we can. Bungalows have been provided in the most sensitive locations, and just to reiterate that all separation distances are a minimum of 21 metres, which is the national standard, ranging up to 34 metres. So, relevant standards have been met, and we really have tried to address that where we can. The site will also be built out from Marscoe Smithy Road, as noted, with all the construction traffic diverted out that way to the north to minimise the impacts on Branch Road and the wider community during construction, and that will be secured through a construction management plan. It's also worth noting that all the proposed homes will meet the M42 accessibility requirement, which means that they will be suitable for both regular young families and the elderly and those of more limited mobility. So even the two-storey properties will be suitable in a similar way to bungalows. In terms of highways, the proposals are supported by Lancashire County Council Highways, subject to a range of on- and off-site works, including the provision of a new bus shelter, as alluded to, with associated yellow lines and road markings to improve bus circulation. There will be over 1.5 hectares of open space within the site, which is well in excess of the policy requirement, including a large corridor along the western boundary, which includes the attenuation features, and tree east to west sort of tree stand across the centre of the site, which retain a large central open space with a play area which is visible and accessible throughout the site. The scheme also exceeds the required 10% net gain on site for biodiversity with both habitats and hedgerows, and that must be considered a benefit. It will also make significant financial contributions, including over £1 million in SIL contributions and £180,000 to improve sports facilities at Warden Park, along with other monitoring contributions and off-site highways work. The proposals themselves also generate substantial economic benefits, including jobs and investment through construction expenditure from new residents.
You need to start tying up now, Graham, please.
Well, it's just pertinent to note that Prospect Homes are not your average house builder. They are owned by Riverside Group, who are a not-for-profit housing association that have been providing affordable homes for 90 years, with all profits from Prospect Homes house building reinvested into Riverside Group for their work in affordable housing, homelessness, and supporting the most vulnerable in society. As such, we respectfully request that members support the officer's recommendation to approve this application to allow Prospect Homes to get on site and start delivering this much needed home.
All right, Graham, thanks for your presentation. I've allowed you the same leniency as I did with John, so
That took
just
longer
for
than,
fairness.
Appreciated.
Okay? All right, thanks
Thanks
for your presentation. Before I open to committee, Debbie, anything else to add? Kath?
No.
Right, okay, I'll open this application up to committee, please. Councillor Gleeson.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions, mostly for clarity, really. The affordable homes, will they be spread throughout the development, or will they be located in one area? Is the first question. You can, if you want to answer that straight away, or can ask the next one. I noted that there are a few ponds in the area. Will they have some sort of safety provision, fences, signposting, especially for children and vulnerable people?
In terms of affordable housing, yes, they're pepper potted through the site, so they're 10-year blind. We do have an affordable plan, but I've not shown it tonight. There's an awful lot of plans involved. Ponds, safety in terms of signage and that sort of thing isn't a requirement for planning. I'm sure there is some sort of a health and safety executive building control requirement, which isn't what we do, so I haven't got the details of that, but I'm sure there will be. Yeah, the applicant's telling me yes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Gleeson. Councillor Martin, did you intimate? Oh, sorry. You were just putting your pen in your mouth. Sorry about that. Sorry. Councillor Mulliner.
Thank you, Chair. The parish councils involved in this area, both Balderstone and Sandra and Cudale. Balderstone Parish Council, they made the comments that the development will profoundly affect the character of Mellowbrook, and there are major concerns regarding the impact of such a big development. Main concern is that local infrastructure will come under considerable strain, and I agree with that. Samlesbury Parish Council have recognised that there is a need for sustainable housing, which I think we all do, but they feel that the size of the development is too large, and it would bring lasting harm to the community of Branch Road and Mellowbrook, which would just make it worse than it is at the moment. The impact on safety, I don't think, can be overstated. As the minor roads were around that area were never designed to cope with volumes of another 200 houses going in that area. It's already been said there are around 300 letters have been received from residents, with the majority of those letters being against the development. On a number of things, highways, design, environmental, and lack of, certainly again, what keeps coming up is the lack of infrastructure issues. I'm a bit concerned that the planning portal information was mentioned tonight, and the fact that we've got dates on there which have not allowed possibly a number of residents who would like to attend and speak on this matter not to come today, because it's been a rush for a number of people. So I want that noted, that isn't really what I would expect from this council. I have an issue with the noise levels as well. It says on the report that we've had work carried out by 2 different companies. My concern is that one of the report's findings were that was done for less than the 121 houses that we're talking about. So just wondering whether we could have some confusion here with all the noise issues could be done from a lower number of houses, and I'd just like that clarifying if that's possible. On the highway side, what they're terming as the proposed back entrance to the site, which is via Mysco Smithy Road, situated on the road are a number of commercial businesses, all being involved in heavy goods bulk transport or the transport of heavy goods and industrial plant. And these businesses have in that region of about 100 HGVs, which doesn't seem to include But it doesn't include other visiting HGVs as well that come to that area on a regular basis. This is obviously a very busy area, and yet there doesn't appear to be any mention of that in the LCC Highways report. Again, we get this all the time with LCC, there's never a problem, but I can see that there is, and I just don't understand why it's not been mentioned. From a safety aspect, the proposed entrance, in my opinion, needs more consideration due to the amount of vehicles that will be using it. There's going to be a lot more if you're talking about 121 houses and the residents that come with that. I think for all the reasons that I'm stating, I do feel that this application will put some unnecessary strain on the area in question. And I appreciate that housing is needed, which we all agree, but not when it's going to be detrimental to the area concerned. The application has too many houses without the infrastructure that's needed. And I therefore propose that we, as far as this application is concerned, I would look for refusal this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Molyneux. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Councillor Molyneux. I would need you to tell me on what policy grounds you want this to be refused.
Well, I've got a number.
Okay,
Chair.
if you can let me have them.
I'm saying the profound effect, the character of the village development is too large. Residents do not, obviously one of the things is the main thing is that residents don't want it. Noise levels queried.
Just bear with me, Councillor. I don't think that's a material planning consideration that the residents don't want it.
Okay,
I don't think.
Forget that then.
Okay.
Noise levels. I'm not happy about the noise levels where they've been conducted. The highway safety issues that I've quoted.
Okay.
And the lack of infrastructure.
Right. Debbie, would you like to reply to any of those? Oh, sorry. Catherine's going to do it, Debbie.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so just in relation to the comments that Councillor Molyneux has made, and I hear his concerns relating to highway safety. And as we've discussed at this committee on several occasions, the impact of a development on highway safety has to be severe before a planning application can be refused on highway grounds. And the Highway Authority have looked at this application really carefully, not just in the application process itself, but also when we were thinking of putting this application site forward for allocation as part of the local plan, we had to carry out a raft of assessments in association with the Highway Authority before we could put the site forward as an allocation. So we can be confident that this site can be put forward safely for residential development without harm to the highway and safety conditions within that area. And the Highway Authority are fully aware of this site and have given it significant consideration in making their comments, which you can see are really clearly explained in full in para 6.12 of the agenda report. In relation to noise, Councillor Molyneux, the reason for conducting noise surveys on this site was largely for the benefit of future residents of the site in relation to the adjoining commercial uses, to see whether those uses would have any impact, given that residential development would be placed nearer to them than the existing dwellings in the vicinity, rather than for the impact of noise during construction on existing residents, because that is a temporary noise which can be dealt with through conditions in terms of hours of construction. In relation to impact on the environmental quality of the site, you'll see in the report we've consulted all the relevant bodies, the council's ecologist. I think when Debbie was giving her presentation, she talked about the biodiversity net gain that would be delivered through this development. Obviously, we know the trees are protected on the site, and we've ensured that the majority of the tree stock and the hedgerows will be protected throughout development. I think the main question really comes down to the impact of the development on the character of Mellor and as we've mentioned previously, that has already been considered by this council because this site has gone forward as one of our allocations in the local plan. As we're aware, the council has a duty to provide a significant level of new housing development and growth for the local plan to be found sound, and that housing has been distributed throughout the borough, and some of the rural settlements have to take an element of growth, and this site is one of the allocations. So I think it will be very difficult for the council to refuse planning permission for the reasons that you've identified in relation to the character of Mellowbrook, because we have already considered that as a council by putting this site forward for allocation. In terms of noise levels, the environmental health team have looked really carefully at the noise environments and have concluded that this scheme is acceptable. The Highway Authority have looked really carefully at the site in terms of highway safety and capacity and concluded that the development is acceptable. And in terms of local infrastructure, there's a significant paragraphs in the report that talk about site sustainability and conclude that this is a sustainable site. And again, I come back to the point that members have already considered this and its sustainability in putting it forward as a site allocation for the new local plan. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. I think Councillor Mullinor, myself and Councillor Rainsbury were on the council when this local plan was put forward in 2015, weren't we? Right, do you still want to go ahead with refusal, Councillor Mullinor?
Yes, Chairman. Just to come back on that though, I know that the council's put that down for development, but it didn't necessarily put it down for 121 houses. So from that point of view, I still think there's a major objection to this. There's too many houses on that site.
Yes, of course you can, Catherine.
Chair, just to clarify, the site has been put forward for circa 120 dwellings, and this scheme before us is for 121. So yes, we did put it forward for this volume of development.
And that was back in 2015, yeah?
No, this is as part of the emerging local plan now. Right. So this is one of the allocated sites that we've put forward for consideration as part of the Central Lancashire local plan. And as you know, we're at an advanced stage in plan production, and the examinations are being held currently into the proposed plan.
But this plot was in the last local plan that was issued in 2015,
yes,
is that correct?
This was allocated for B2 village development in the local plan, so it was accepted that residential development on this site could be acceptable in principle.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. Councillor Williams, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah. Thank you very much, Catherine. That's been really useful, telling us about the actual history, of the site. So since 2015, for over 10 years, this site has been allocated for development. Now, if it has been allocated for development, what we put there has got to be effectively compliant. Has got to be a good development. You know, if it's going to be there as housing, we're going to put something there. Let's put something there that is of quality, that is assessed as compliant with highways. Now, we have this argument all the time that everything's too busy safety and all the rest of it. LCC are the experts in that. We are not the experts. We have to be guided by what they say. So, I have spoken many times about LCC and how highways issues present us with issues, but we have to take it as read. It's not a reason. It's not a reason for refusal. Now, this site that's been put there is a mix of houses between 1 and 4 bedrooms. There have been many housing estates that come before us in various different areas, in village areas, that are 3, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms, which effectively are there not for emerging families or a mix of people who may or want to stay in an area. Let's be clear here. Mellowbrook is a smallish area. If you are born in that particular area, you want to stay there. Your family is there. Your friends are there, and this development enables that. With a 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms, a good mix of things, or a good mix of houses that we are putting there. From what I've seen in the actual design, it fits with the actual street scene and everything else. It's not incongruous. It's not out of place. It's maintaining hedgerows. It's away from the site. So if we're going to put a site there, it's got a good mixture of houses, and we've also not to forget the affordable housing side of it as well. For 1 bedroom houses, there is a 2-year waiting list for people who who want one bedroom places to live. Everybody deserves a place to live. And for all the houses, there's waits of 12 months, 18 months for houses, and this is desperately needed. And I think especially in a village area as well, that people want to stay within their locality and not be forced out. So, in summary, I'm happy with what's been proposed there because of the mix, because of the quality of the development and the mix there. So I would be happy to propose approval.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Williams. Councillor Lomax, you intimated earlier you wanted to come in. I'm sorry, I took you second. Sorry about that.
No, absolutely. No problem whatsoever. I do know this area very well. I live in Horton, and we need places for people to live. We need reasonably priced places for people to live. I have 2 adults with me at home who cannot afford to move out of the house. And I don't foresee them moving out of the house any time soon. They are a not-for-profit builder. They are building affordable houses, 1, 2 and 3, which we desperately need. In fact, they've been working with our housing department and understand our need. I knew, or I was told by the people of Mellor that this was coming up. And when I was walking round, I didn't hear a lot of complaints. I didn't hear a lot for. I didn't hear a lot against either. But I know we need affordable housing. We've had no complaints from the statutory authorities. I would second the approval of this site.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Councillor Lomax. Right, do I have a seconder for refusal before I bring in Councillor Martin?
Yes, Chair. I'd like to second Councillor Molyneux's proposal to refuse this, mainly because I just feel that it might be a bit overcrowded. We've had residents have come forward to say about the area, and it does seem like a huge increase all at once. If the amount of houses on that land was much smaller, a lesser amount, it might be more acceptable. But just to come in and make a massive increase to an area with the narrow roads, etc. I just feel that the site should be a lot smaller. So I'd like to second the proposal for refusal. Thank you.
Can you give me your policy reason, please, Councillor Bretherton? Do you mean you wanted it to have bigger houses on it? Is that what we mean?
No, just less. I just think it's too much all at once. And the same policies as Councillor Molyneux has suggested.
I think you'll find that it's not going to come in at once, is it? It's coming in piecemeal, 4 different patches. But anyway, fine. So I'll put you down as a second.
Yep.
What policy? Give me your policy, please.
Similar policies to Councillor Molyneux. Just the lack of infrastructure, the noise levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Catherine?
Sorry, just to repeat the advice that I gave committee previously, in terms of the noise levels, as I said, the noise survey was conducted largely for the benefit of future residents of the site, and Environmental Health were entirely comfortable that the noise environment would be satisfactory, so I would urge caution about using that as a reason for refusal. The other issues that Councillor Molyneux raised were highway conditions in the vicinity of the site and the impact there. And as I've also mentioned, the Highway Authority have given very comprehensive advice on this site and concluded that a development of that nature will not have a significant impact on highway safety conditions in the local area. So again, we would need to think carefully about using that as a reason for refusal. And in relation to the impact on the character of Mellor which I think was the third reason that Councillor Molyneux suggested, as I have previously mentioned, this council has put forward the site as part of an allocation for the new local plan for development circa 120 dwellings. So this is one dwelling more than we've suggested is a suitable level of development for this site. Also, the density of development is 21.7, I think, which is extremely low. So it's quite a spacious development. So I think we would struggle, I think, with some of those reasons for refusal and defending them. Just want to give members that advice.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Catherine. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Chair. I believe there's 3 councils in that parish councils in that area: Salisbury and Keordale, Balderston, and I think Salisbury and Keordale are the only ones who have a local plan, which could have helped if others did have that, or you had other representations. One of the things that come up quite often is village stagnation. That's not a negative as far as the residents are concerned, but basically what happens is that people don't want to move, and the children have nowhere to move to within the village. And so the issue you have there is you end up with very expensive houses, and no one living there can afford to have bought one if they've tried to. So this development gives that opportunity. It's the only way you'll get affordable housing probably in the village at that place, because obviously it has to be paid for. The other part of it is Branch Road is a 7.5 tonne limit on the road traffic there, which is for access, except for access. So I was wondering if we could look at how that traffic management plan could be, rather than lorries coming all the way around 2 roundabouts and up the hill, so to speak. They come straight off the A59 past the windmill, which will be a shorter route and less disturbance for the whole area. I've sort of looked at that area before, represented people in that area before, and vehicles have been a serious problem with them going through there. So that, I mean, I am supporting of this development simply because it should improve the on the whole the village and its future rather than its present. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Martin. Anyone else? No? Okay, well, we had a proposal for refusal by Councillor Molyneux, and that was seconded by Councillor Bretherton. We then had an amendment for approval as to the office's recommendation from Councillor Hayden Williams, seconded by Councillor Lomax. So I think we can go to the vote, and we're voting on the amendment for approval. Is that correct, Alex?
Yep.
I haven't said anything wrong there, have I?
No.
No. Okay, so we're going, this is a vote on, it is an amendment because Councillor Molyneux proposed refusal and it was seconded by Councillor Bretherton. So the approval is the amendment that we are voting on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So this is for the approval of land south of Mayerskurt, Smithy Lane, Balderston, Wester Branch Road, Mellor. Ben, what? Yes?
It was just to clarify, as per the report.
With conditions, yes.
It's a delegation.
Yes.
Subject to the section 106 agreement,
yes,
and all the comments. So just to make
Is
sure
everybody
that
happy with that?
confirm that.
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted to approve authority to be delegated to the Head of Planning and Enforcement to grant planning permission subject to conditions and a Section 106 legal agreement.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Alex. If you were here just for agenda item number 7, we are now moving on to agenda item number 8, which is Wellfield Academy, Ewlands Drive at Leyland. Thank you. Okay, agenda item number 8, Wellfield Academy, Ewlands Drive, Leyland. Debbie, if you would like to present this item.
Thank you, Chair. Wellfield Academy is a roughly 7 hectare school site in Leyland. Been there since the 1940s and accommodates 830 pupils, 95 full-time equivalent staff. That's not likely to change anytime soon. Access into the site, the primary access is from Ewlands Drive on the eastern side, which is a residential street off School Lane, close to Leyland Town Centre. There is a car park inside the school gate, and the access is alongside a gateway into a former NHS clinic and a small nursery. There's a secondary maintenance access gate, which is off Carlton Road, and that comes into the playing fields along the southern boundary. On the western boundary, the eastern and southern, we've got residential. There's Northbrook Primary on the northwest side. Facing the school across the boundary are the clinic and the NHS, and beyond that are St Mary's Primary and Bannister Brook. The whole site's flood zone 1, which I said earlier is least likely to flood, and it is 600 metres from the closest air quality management area, so unlikely to be affected. Within the site currently, there are established playing fields and a linear woodland in this bottom corner, southern corner. There are hard standing pitches and a car park on the northern side. This northern third is home to a selection of school buildings that aren't fit for purpose. I'll show you those in a second. And the whole site benefits from interior and exterior security fencing. There's a mature hedgerow and trees all the way around the site boundaries and throughout the site. Just a few photographs of the school buildings, a range of age, design and height. The main entrance is 1940s, most of them are 1970s buildings. There is a bit of an asbestos problem. The sports hall on the right hand bottom corner building is to be retained, but the others are all dated, not fit for purpose and due for demolition, subject to this permission, of course. Okay, the proposal is to redevelop the school site, including demolition of all but the sports hall, which would be retained. That's referenced in your report as building EFAE. The proposal would result in a new fully accessible school, reconfigured sports facilities and car park arrangement, and upgraded soft and hard landscaping. Essentially, there would be 2 school buildings. This blue square, if you can see it, is the existing sports hall. There will be a commons block, which is a 2-storey access from the car park. Ground floor will be social, admin and entrance space. Upstairs will be specialist teaching space. It's got a roughly 37 by 40 metre footprint with a flat roof of 11.8 metres. There is a typo, an error in the report. It's not even a typo, it was me. It should be 11.8 metres. For some reason I put 24.5 and I've no idea where that came from, so sorry about it. I must have been reading something else at the same time. There will be contemporary signage on the eastern elevation above the main entrance, so it will be visible on approach. South of that will be a teaching block, a 3-storey building with a 76.5 by 24 metre footprint. A roof height excluding rooftop plant of 12.9 metres, teaching, staff and office space, and there'll be an outside eating area along the building's western side, so that's roughly here. The blocks will be connected by a 1st floor link bridge, and I'll show you that elevation in a second. The schools themselves, the buildings themselves will be relocated southwards onto playing field, not a lot, but enough to allow for a larger car park. And it will be in a more linear design rather than the current scheme is a quadrangle type development. There will be outside classrooms, cycle parking, courtyard, active hard standing and landscape rain gardens to the east of the structures. And it's approximately 480 square metres of additional floor space once the demolition's happened. Currently there is out of hours community use for the sports hall, and the school are committed to continuing that use, including possible use of the proposed commons building. That is subject to the school's own use and security arrangements. Materials will be buff coloured brick, metal clad sections with curtain wall glazing, robust, durable, but reduced maintenance, most importantly. Solar panels on some roofs and a ground source heat pump to the western side of this building. The aim being to achieve as close to net zero as possible. Fencing will be retained and enhanced, and a short length of ball strike fence on this, this corner. Parking on the site would increase to 79 parking spaces, including 4 accessible, 16 with vehicle chargers. There'll be 76 cycle spaces and a turning circle for coaches and buses. At the moment, school trips park on Newlands Drive and it causes congestion. That will alleviate that problem. Site entrance would remain the same, but they'd have parallel pedestrian and vehicle accesses. Lancashire County Council Highways are okay with the approach to on and off-site highways matters. These are just the elevations of the Commons block at the top and the teaching block at the bottom. As you can see on both, there's a link bridge at sort of first floor. It's roughly 3 metres off the ground. Okay, natural environment. There is a landscaping plan with relevant mitigatory and decorative provision, and it comes to the tune of 152 trees, which will support the woodland strip on the southern side. Rain gardens in the front, rear and between the buildings should remove the surface water from the sewer network and also provides a buffer between the school buildings and playing fields. And we've got biodiversity net gain, which exceeds mandatory 10%. All the trading rules have been met for all habitats on site. The external lighting strategy has been assessed. Lux levels aren't excessive and shouldn't result in any harm to residential property. And separation is appropriate between existing and proposed buildings. Spatial separation far exceeds policy requirement. In some cases, we're up to 450 metres away. Okay. There is a detailed demolition and construction phasing plan with this scheme. It's a 3-phase development. There will be designated compound areas adjacent to the Carlton Road and the Newlands Drive access points. That's the southern side and the northern. Construction areas will be segregated from school at all times, and there is a compound management plan to protect residential amenity, which is acceptable to officers. Construction hours are considered to be proposed to be 8 a.m. till 6, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. till 1, Saturday, and nothing on a Sunday or bank holidays. Deliveries are proposed from 7:30 a.m. till 5, Monday to Friday, avoiding the peak hours of 8:30 to 9:15 and 2:30 to 3:15. And the access gates will be open from 7 o'clock, not to accept deliveries or work, but as a holding area before the permitted hours begin. That, again, takes traffic off Carlton Road and off Newlands Drive. Overflow parking has been agreed with the nearby Asda shop, in addition to Pay and Display Town Centre. Now the first phase will be approximately 17 months from spring 2026 to summer 2027. The school access will be from Newlands Drive, as it is now, and the construction traffic will come from Carlton Road, which is the southern site access. The phase 1 is site and compound set up, clearance of the site, construction of new buildings and local landscaping, and some temporary parking restrictions on Towngate, Westgate and Carlton Road. We don't have the detail of that yet. That's to be worked through with Lancashire County Council, but they are accepting of the principle. Okay, just a couple of views of the site roads themselves. This would be the Carlton Road construction access, and a view of the construction access from Carlton Road. Sorry, this is currently secondary maintenance access, and from the access down Carlton Road. So it's a residential street. Phase 2 would see the construction coming off Ewlands Drive and the school access coming from Carlton Road. That's demolition and external works, which runs for about 9 months from summer 27 to spring 28. The new buildings will be in use, so the site cabins and the like will be relocated to the northern side. And there will be asbestos removal, including controlled dispersal, air testing, certification and water suppression. There will be a soft strip, a mechanical demolition of the existing, again air quality maintained, checked and certified, and all spoil will be removed for recycling. Car park reconfiguration and landscaping, and a temporary car park provided off Carlton Road to keep everybody off the road. This is Ewlands Drive, so you've got the school on the left and School Lane is off here. The school gate viewed from Ewlands Drive, as you can see the nursery and clinic access sits alongside the existing site, and from the school gate down towards the town centre. Phase 3 goes back to Carlton Road. That's expected to take 1 month in spring 2028. So that's a removal of the temporary car park, reinstatement of playing fields, and finishing off of the site. That's construction from Carlton Road, school access from Ewlands Avenue. The way the phasing works, it should limit the impact of development on residents while allowing the school to operate completely. They will always at all times be segregated, so there's no issue of danger for the children. Lancashire County Council, Environmental Health are satisfied with construction and demolition arrangements. We've no statutory objections subject to conditions. We've got one objection referring to loss of trees and one letter in support. And it is policy compliant. Just to note that we do need to also take into account the ministerial statement, which is noted at paragraph 9.6 and presumes in favour of school development. So taking everything into account, we would recommend approval with conditions. Thank you, Chair. Sorry, one quick thing, a note at the end. Condition 6, I would also ask that we change the wording of condition 26. It refers to highway surveys with a 14-day turnaround, which we don't feel is reasonable. It's quite a difficult turnaround for such a big organisation to do. We would like to change that wording from 14 days to a timescale to be agreed with the local planning authority, if that's acceptable to members. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for your presentation, Debbie. Right, I have 2 registered speakers with us tonight, plus the applicant's agent. So, Jack Snowden, please. You thought it was going alphabetically, didn't you?
I'm actually speaking instead of Jack Snowden tonight.
Yes, of course you can. Do you want 4 minutes or 8?
I should have left Jack on the spot though.
Okay, off you go then.
Is it? Oh.
It looks like a profile of a face with some...
Is that correct?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Jamie Lewis and I'm the head teacher at Wellfield Academy. I've proudly served this school for over 16 years, and during that time I've seen it navigate a long and sometimes challenging journey. We've faced difficulties, including periods of concern from Ofsted and moments when the school's reputation needed rebuilding. But through all of those challenges, one thing has remained constant: the determination of our staff, our students and our community to move forwards. Today I sit here genuinely excited about the future of Wellfield Academy. Our school officially joined Endeavour Learning Trust in December 2023, and since then we've experienced a transformation in momentum, confidence and aspiration. Our community has recognised that change too, and there is clear evidence that families once again believe in Wellfield Academy and in the direction we are heading. This plan and application for a major rebuild represents another significant step forwards for our school. As our motto is nothing but the best, I believe this rebuild provides an opportunity to demonstrate how our building and infrastructure provides the very best environment for our students to thrive within. Wellfield Academy was informed that it would be part of the DFE's school rebuilding programme in 2022. The plans in front of you today have therefore been 3 years in the making. We were selected because our current buildings, many dating back several decades, have substantial structural, roofing and mechanical issues that are no longer sustainable. Despite the relentless efforts of our brilliant site team and significant trust investment, the reality is that the existing buildings, aside from our current sports hall, are nearing the end of their usable life, which, sorry, I've lost track. Which is why for many years the school has made the case that a full rebuild is essential. Even with these challenges, our school has not stood still. We've continued to deliver an improving and increasingly successful education for our students, supported by our dedicated and talented staff team. Performance indicators over recent years have shown improvement, with student progress measures in the summer demonstrating our journey is heading in the right path. With the right facilities, we know that we can go even further. The Trust, our leadership team, our governors, our trustees, our local academy councillors at Wellfield have worked tirelessly with the DFE and our contractors to design a building that will meet the needs of our learners today, tomorrow and long into the future. This new building embodies our school values of being inclusive, being aspirational and being community centred. Our special educational needs provision will rightly sit at the heart of the school, ensuring every learner is supported to thrive. Classrooms will be modern, appropriately sized and equipped with excellent ventilation, daylighting and up-to-date ICT infrastructure. This will dramatically improve our day-to-day operations and the overall experience for staff and students. The new buildings will use timber frames in their construction to minimise embodied carbon and will be designed to enhance thermal performance to minimise energy demand. They will use ultra-low carbon and renewable energy solutions, including ground source heat pumps and solar panels on the roof. It is therefore a fantastic learning opportunity for our students and our wider community. We will have new outdoor areas that support learning, recreation and well-being, alongside high-quality internal spaces that will also serve our wider community. I've been a part of Wellfield Academy through some of its most difficult times, but I've also seen firsthand the resilience, loyalty and pride in this community. Today we have an opportunity to give that community a school that they can be proud of and a school they absolutely deserve. Wellfield Academy cannot wait for this new build and we respectfully request your support for the application proposals, which, if approved, will keep us on track to open in September 2027. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Jamie. I thought you'd have been a little bit more confident, but Anne Burke Hargreaves, please, the agent. Are you happy with that? Wonderful, thanks very much. I am going to open this up to committee. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Chair. Schools have an important place in our society, and the excellence and the teaching that they provide are very important for our futures. Obviously, these people have got to pay our pensions as well. So one of the things we're looking at, obviously the air quality monitoring area was mentioned. Well, that's up for revocation at the moment. There's a consultation involved with that, so that's nothing to worry about there. Very pleased that you're looking at protecting the environment and improving the environment as well. 152 trees, air source heat pumps. There are a number of charities who would probably be interested in some of the wood that you might have left over from the development. The other thing that is very important is good to remove asbestos from schooling. From any school, getting affected by that can change lives. So on the whole, it's very impressive. I mean, I used to go to meetings there probably about 12, 13 years ago, and I'll be as polite as I can, but it was in need of some attention then. So it's very pleasing, and I'm very pleased to be able to move for approval. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Martin. Councillor Lomax.
I also have been in this school. Can you not bring the plans forward so that it can happen quicker? Is all I would say. I will second this application.
Thanks, Councillor Lomax. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, I'm not going to add very much add very much to that. Only the fact that it looks like a fantastic development, well designed, and as the councillor for Leyland Central, this can't come soon enough. The only one concern I would have is that we have a really robust construction management plan, because the people on Carlton Road aren't used to traffic coming down there. It is quite narrow. There's going to be a lot of HGV movement. So we'd just like to be assured that the construction management plan is really robust, mud, wheel wash, all that type of thing while this is happening, and clear communication with the residents that what's happening when. Because I know and we've got major development going on in Leyland Town Centre at the minute, and that's caused a bit of consternation with a few residents. I just want to make sure that is really, we manage those residents carefully. I'm sure they're fully in support. I'm sure they're fully in support of the school and can't wait for it to happen like the rest of us. So it's not. I'm not just adding that comment. I fully support the proposal, but I just would like to put on record that I just want that management that we look after the residents that are there during construction. Thank you.
Debbie, we can condition that, can't we?
We've already had a construction management and a construction environmental management plan. LCC are happy with the highways side of things, but they've put comments and notes on that the applicant have been provided with, and environmental health is satisfied with the proposal. Yeah, thank you.
I'll take Councillor Howarth and then Councillor Bretherton.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think any government throws around school rebuilds like confetti. You know, they're done because they're necessary, and our children do deserve the best facilities in which to learn. If I could just echo what Councillor Williams said though, because I have personal experience at the moment of Penwitham Girls High School being rebuilt, and certainly the site management there do send out regular communications to the surrounding residents. The one concern I do have though is that you mentioned there's a compound that's going to be open from 7 o'clock in the morning. HGVs rolling up before 7, and then all the associated noise with doors opening and slamming and so on and so forth might not be conducive to good relations with surrounding residents. So I would just caution against that.
Debbie, if you'd like to come back on that comment.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It's not so much a compound. We have construction hours that have been recommended, and we have delivery hours, but we can't stop private construction companies delivering goods to site. The 7 o'clock gate opening is to hold those until they're allowed into the site, so that they're not idling, chatting, doing whatever the HGV drivers do on Carlton Road and on Ewlands Avenue. This was a suggestion of the Highways Authority at the time of pre-application discussions. It is just a holding area in case, rather than you can arrive at 11 o'clock and start work, which is not the case. Thank you, Chair.
So, Debbie, let me get that right. That was an idea by LCC Highways. Okay, Councillor Howard? Being a county councillor?
Yeah, I'm just quite surprised that County Highways have an idea. You know.
Councillor Bretherton, you comment.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm all in favour of this type of development when we demolish and rebuild. This scheme will improve thermal efficiency. All the modern technology will go into it, and it's a far better process than trying to retrofit and patch up old buildings. And echoing what Councillor Martin said as well about removing the asbestos, which is a really good thing going forward. So I'm all in favour of this, and I think it's commendable, and I'd like to thank the head teacher for giving such a good presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Bretherton. I think that's a merit badge for you, Jamie. Right, do we have any other proposals other than approval from Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Lomax? We don't. Okay, can we go to the electronic vote for approval with conditions on this application, please?
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted unanimously to approve the application for demolition and rebuilding of new school buildings with conditions, with an amendment to the condition as outlined by the planning officer when she was presenting the report.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Alex. I wish you every success. As always, I think you would have known our good friend Councillor Bill Evans, who was on the PTA for you. Very nice man. Okay, all right, that's it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here on Thursday, the 5th of January 2026 already.
15.